Do you think that's how the corn retail is? They're like, oh, the institutions are coming.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are in crypto for, but I'm purely here to make gains so I can get into corn.
In the bear market, do you guys remember when orange juice went like parabolic? Did you guys see that?
yeah. Yeah. And we were all like, dude, we're in the wrong industry. We should have been buying orange juice this whole time.
Welcome to the Never Die Podcast, your weekly alpha for those who never quit. This is the Stay Hard semi-weekly update. Crypto is rough out there. We teach you how to stay hard and make it through. All right. Prices for the week, Bitcoin and ETH. Do you guys know what they are? I should have prepared this ahead of time. Nick, you look at the prices for the week.
So right now, Bitcoin is 69.5, and then ETH is an even 3,500. Pretty good.
Look, that sounds, I don't know. I don't really have any comments on that. There's no comments on that.
What do you, you said there's not a lot of comment to it, but like, I've been watching the prices and I've been wondering a little bit about it, like, because everything we've talked about and everything, and those things are factual about supply being taken off of OTC markets and stuff like that. So I don't understand, like, have the inflows been like crushed versus outflows? Are people who were holding before selling at around the previous all-time high? I don't know why it's been so choppy leading up to it.
So most of the people that have actually bought the ETF are kind of retail. So it's like people, that don't buy stuff on Coinbase, and it's like financial advisors. Most of like the big like money managers, etc. Like they have their own due diligence process that they have to go through before they can buy the ETF, and that's just gonna you're gonna unlock those guys over the next 6 months to a couple of years. Like it just takes time for them to get on board and to start buying those things. So, right now it's purely just retail buying. So they're buying, they're selling, they're doing whatever they want to do because they're retail. But they're not that kind of people that are necessarily going to hold it for a super long term.
I have heard that as well. There's a lot of institutions that are literally just getting the process started to be able to enter the market.
Yeah, how long does that take? I mean, you figured they would have started due diligence, right, leading up to. I don't know how corporate due diligence works, though.
They don't know if it's going to get approved or not. So, like, when it gets approved, then they're like, okay, now we're going to start our due diligence of like, do we want to invest in this? Is this right for our clients? All that kind of stuff. But until then, they just kind of sit on the sidelines waiting because they're just busy with a bunch of other stuff. Like, crypto's not the center of the world. It's like they don't even, you know what I mean? It's like, imagine like, I don't know, the corn market. And you're like, yeah, the financial advisory, some financial company, and they're like, oh, cool, we can trade the corn market now. You're not really like waiting all the weeks up to it, be like, oh, we're going to trade corn. We can't wait. We're so excited to unlock this thing. For them, that's kind of like crypto. It's like this weird side thing they don't really care about. Now they're probably caring about it because they're getting,
Do you think that's how the corn retail is? They're like, oh, the institutions are coming.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are in crypto for, but I'm purely here to make gains so I can get into corn.
In the bear market, do you guys remember when orange juice went like parabolic? Did you guys see that?
Yeah. Yeah. And we were all like, dude, we're in the wrong industry. We should have been buying orange juice this whole time.
We should have been buying some orange juice. Well, I guess that leads into the next segment, which is like, okay, we have been going sideways for a couple weeks. What do you guys think's next? Like, what are your thoughts on like what comes next? Specifically, what do you think comes in April?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I think there could be some psychology of like, oh, the halving is here, but then like, what if it's like a sell the news event? You know what I mean? Like we see all the time.
Well, typically the halving is kind of almost a sell the news event, but there hasn't been any hype for the halving at the same time. So typically the reason it's a sell the news event is because you have a ton of hype. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh, the halving, the price goes up. And then when the halving happens, people realize, oh, supply and demand takes like 6 months to kick in. So then it dumps. It literally every time. But this time there's been like a ton of inflows from the ETF that's kind of overshadowed the hype of the halving. I don't know. Do you guys even think are we going to see any hype leading up to having this time, or you think that's just like nobody's really paying attention?
Who's nobody? Like we're all paying attention, right? But you mean like the general masses?
Well, how much are you paying attention? Like I'm paying attention. Like I know it's going to happen, but it's not like we're the ETF where I was like, oh, the halving's coming. It's something I know is going to happen, but I've been kind of like putting it on the back burner, not really paying that much attention to it.
Yeah, I think we'd actually talked about this before, and I think we came to the conclusion that because it's been like so bought up. Like I think I saw the other day a 9-year low on exchanges for Bitcoin, right? And we know the OTC desks have been bought up, right? And we've never been this close to an all-time high before halving. I think what you're saying is absolutely correct. Like you're going to see it much more immediately. And we'd also touched on the point before that I wanted to bring back is like this halving drop is a lot smaller. It's like 6.25 to like 3.125 or something like that. Whereas the first one was like 50 to 25. But in actual like capital measurements, this drop is far more substantial, right? In terms of just like, rather than like, I'm just going to put a number, I know it's not the real number, $1 billion a day, like less coming onto the market. Whereas when it was like 50 to 25, maybe you got $1 million less onto the market, right?
So what you're saying is, before when it dropped from 12 to 6, the price of Bitcoin, so those, 6 Bitcoin at that time was like what, 3 times 6? What's $3,000 times 6?
18,000.
$18,000. Okay, so $18,000 per block, right? I don't know. My math skills aren't.
The math is math.
We are good maths.
My verbal spells.
My verbal spells.
Anyway, so 18,000 per block. Well, where today you're dropping 3, right? So it's 3 Bitcoin per block, but 3 Bitcoin is 69. What's 69 times 3?
It's a little over 200,000.
Yeah, like almost 210.
Yeah. So it's in capital terms, that's actually a lot bigger cut when you look at that. It's just in Bitcoin terms it's smaller, but and then on top of that, you also have that demand side where you have a ton of demand coming from these ETF inflows that are also influencing that as well. All right, well, moving on to what's next. Let's do some top signals checks. So we talked about this last week. We're gonna do some top signals checks because your guys' top signals sucked last week. I got some good ones now. Okay, Coinbase App Store rank, and the App Store rank right now is 222. So overall in the App Store, Coinbase is 222nd most popular app. During the last bull run, it was multiple times the #1 app in the whole App Store. Everyone was downloading it because everyone was into crypto. We're not seeing that right now. Okay, so it doesn't seem like we're looking good on that one. Text from friends. Any of you guys gotten a text from a friend or like a long lost uncle saying, "Hey, I heard you're into crypto. What do you think about this one, or you want to buy, or anything like that?"
Nothing yet for me.
I got a text from my mother-in-law not too long ago when the ETF came out. She said, "I heard Bitcoin went public." She goes, "So is that good? Can you buy Bitcoin?" I was like, "You could always buy it, whatever." But yeah, that's what I got. That's the level of understanding.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any texts. So when Bitcoin did its rally, I think I got 1 text, but since then I haven't gotten any. So I haven't gotten any texts either. So I think that's a good signal. Mentions of the super cycle. So on Twitter and your guys' little circles, you guys are both heavily involved in the space. You have any friends or anyone mention it, talking about, maybe they don't call it the super cycle, but talking about how the cycle's broken and now we're going to see crypto. Maybe we're not going to see as bad of a crypto winter, or we're going to see the cycle go a lot longer than it did in the past.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like everybody's like pretty happy. Like there's good energy in the market. But I think the people that are super involved in crypto are hyper focused on like meme coins, right? Like the shiniest thing, just like anything else, like the attention cycle. They're just focused on like what is the most hype thing going on in the market right now. But it's not like this overall like everything is going crazy. Like everything's going to be this giant bubble. Like I just haven't seen that type of energy yet.
Yeah, it feels like meme coins is like in its own little greedy little bubble, but it feels like crypto as a whole isn't. And I think we got to start to recognize that crypto has become like a large asset class where we are going to have certain things. Like think of like stocks as a whole could be in a bull run, or you could have certain segments of the stock market. Just AI stocks are in a bull run. Well, right now we have meme coins in a bull run. You have what's his face, the pizza guy. Why am I blanking on his name? You guys know pizza guy is like one bite.
Oh, Dave Portnoy.
Barstool Sports.
Dave Portnoy.
They did a skit on meme coins.
I was gonna say Papa John's.
Papa John's. They did a skit on meme coins. A lot of people are talking about meme coins right now and just making fun of them. And I think that's because one, they kind of make good news. But two, a lot of people were buying meme coins. Basically, got congested because of all the people buying meme coins on there. Solana's been having a lot of traffic for meme coins as well. And so, yeah, meme coins almost feel like they're in this like extreme greed state. But it feels like a lot of the altcoins, a lot of the traditional things you buy, they just kind of seem like they're going sideways and not really doing anything.
Yeah, I'm with Nick on the sentiment like that I'm seeing out in communities. Like everyone's happy. I think after what we experienced over the last couple of years, all of us are just so elated to see green, see things moving our direction. But I see on YouTube people talking about like this is the possibility of a super cycle, and but no, yeah, everyone else is like, they're like, how long is it going to last? No one's at the point where they're like, this is pure euphoria, this is forever.
Yeah, people, it's almost like a bearish like bull run. Like we ran up from like 30,000 Bitcoin to 70 plus, broke all-time highs, and everyone's just like, when's it gonna crash? Like nobody's like euphoric. Some people are in the maybe certain segments, but as a whole it doesn't feel the same. And that's where I feel like, man, we're still so early in this cycle. Retail still isn't here. Well, is retail here? Actually, that's the question I'm gonna ask you guys. I texted you guys earlier in the week and I said, hey, ask a friend, ask your grocer, go talk to the random guy in the street and ask at least one stranger about crypto in some way. Do you guys actually do that?
I did.
You guys?
I actually asked some guys in the sauna, and so I like to go sauna. It's
you have lots of sauna conversations.
I do have lots. It's weird. I go actually to this gym. It's a UFC gym, and for some reason, like people are just like much more friendly there. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the martial arts, but everybody like chats in the sauna. So I asked them. I was like, "Hey, are any of you guys involved or invested in crypto?" And all of them were like, no. there's two guys over here, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we're not invested. And then there's like one guy over here, and he's like, it's all a scam. And he like listed out all of the reasons why it was a scam. Basically like all of the the talking points that we hear all the time. And I was like, oh, like why so why is it a scam? And so he was like, well, first of all, it's used by North Korean hackers. And I was like, oh, okay. What else? Like, what else? Why else do you think it's a scam? He's like, well, it's not worth anything, right? And he just like went through kind of like these, like, yeah, he had them all. Like, I don't know what, like podcast or like a news station he's been listening to, but basically all of like the things that go with like why crypto is a scam is like it can just be erased, just like complete lack of knowledge. And it's like, oh, it's also used for illegal activities, and I don't.
Was he subscribed to Elizabeth Warren's newsletter?
He's like,
is that where he's
yeah,
getting
and
his
he was like, so I don't want to support that. So, and it was funny, and there was a guy that was sitting next to me over here that was like in e-commerce, and so he's like, so he was kind of like, so we kind of like went through point by point, what like he was talking about, and I was like, well, do you know what is the most used currency for illicit activities? And it's the US dollar, right? And so it's like, and he's like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna, support Bitcoin because it's used for illicit activities. And I was like, well, what about the dollar? And he's like, oh, well, I have to use that. You know what I mean? Like I don't have a choice. So, but literally everyone, like there was 5 guys or 4 guys. And none of them were invested. And there were some that were like, oh, they're like kind of interested, and then there's just one guy that was completely against it, but none of them were invested at all. So no, wow. I don't think retail is here.
Yeah, you can't roll up your Bitcoin and snort cocaine with it. That's all dollars. It's all dollars.
And what's interesting is these are like guys that go to the gym. They're maybe like into martial arts. So these are probably guys that tend to lean towards riskier behavior, and they're like not into it. So
I mean, they were literally naked when they told you these things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They were bearing many things to you.
Well, what about you, Harley? Did you have anyone you talked to or anyone you spoke with or any sort of signal?
Yeah, I mean, nothing. It's about the same sentiment, right? So I asked people that I knew, like more about price. Right? I'm like, what do you think the price is? Without looking, right? Don't look. What do you think the price is right now? No one got it as high as it is. Everyone was guessing lower, right? Most of them were like relatively high guesses. So I think what has happened is they've been hearing about it, because I've had people hit me up like, oh, about crypto in general, but like very soft, right? They're not like shilling me. They're not asking how to get involved. They're more like asking me how it's going, right? Like, it's like, that's like first stage of like curiosity. They're like stepping they're like, how's it going for you, buddy? But I did, as an anecdote to this, which Nick's example made me think of, I was at, it was called Yale for an event, like a welcome weekend for MBAs. So all these people were like, some of the like come from like big businesses all over the country. I was at a table with like some investment banker guys, and there was people from all these different like manufacturing everywhere, right? And these are people that are all about money. They are going to spend 6 figures on a degree at like an Ivy League school so they can go and make even more money. They're all about money, right? And I'm talking throughout the night, just trying to shill anybody on crypto, get into a conversation with somebody, right? And just, it was dead. I found one guy towards the end of the night who was like, oh, I love crypto. And we had a good conversation. But I mean, everyone was like negative on it. They were not involved in it. And to me, I was like, that is crazy. And most of the finance guys I know here in New York are just like, so like they have an opinion against it. It's not even just that they're not interested. They have an opinion against it. It's very weird. It's very weird.
I want to, maybe expand on that and like, maybe have a thought about why that is. And I'm just wondering if it's people that are in the United States and the people maybe that are in the market that are causing, these prices that we see now, maybe it's mostly international trade, right? Like people from other countries outside of the US because of how hostile it has been within the United States, for the past few years. Right. So I just wonder, like, maybe that's why, we're kind of like getting those responses.
I ran another poll, and I did it a little bit different this time. Okay. So I did on YouTube, I polled 2,200 people, and I said, trying to gauge who's just jumping into crypto versus those who've been around for a bit. And the options for the poll were, I'm new to crypto and just recently started investing. I've done crypto before, but just recently started again. I've been actively investing in crypto for more than 6 months. I've been actively investing in crypto for more than a year, and I never stopped actively investing. And it's kind of I rephrased it and did a little bit different because I realized my other one, some of the questions could be confused. What ended up happening is, so the people that are new to the market, so I'm new to crypto and just started investing, or I've done crypto before but just recently started again, ended up being about 22% of the people that responded. So 22%, 78% of the people that responded they've been investing for a long time. And it's important to note that 22% doesn't mean that like that's 22% of the people that are coming are already here. What that just means is on my specific YouTube centric channel that's about crypto, 22% of the people listening right now are newer. And the other 78% have been around for a bit. And so I think that's a good indicator that like, hey, we're seeing some retail, like obviously some people are coming back into the market, but we're not seeing like a mass amount of people entering into crypto and really excited about it. And your guys' stories confirm that. Just people are still kind of bearish on it. You have maybe the majority kind of still think it's a scam. And it's just going to take a bit to change their mind. I don't even think a lot of people realize that this whole thing with BlackRock and the ETF. I think in our world we realize that, but I think most average people don't even understand that's a thing. So as these
they don't
things
know who Larry Fink is, I think.
Yeah, they probably don't even know what BlackRock is. As they come to learn these things, and as they see their Fidelity accounts and all these things promoting it, and they hear about these new all-time highs, people get greedy, and I think that changes their sentiment where they're like, oh, cool, I can make money. And especially once they put money in and then they actually do make money, they're like, oh, this is the greatest thing that's ever existed. It just made me some money. So I think we're still really, really early. I actually, Nick, we didn't talk about this last week, but there's this kind of theory that's been floated a couple times, that I've heard a couple times, which is that we haven't actually broken the all-time high for Bitcoin. And that's because, so like everyone's talking about, oh, we broke the all-time high early. Well, we did if you don't account for inflation. But when you account for inflation, the all-time high for Bitcoin's around, I think it was $78,000, $79,000 or something like that. And so inflation adjusted, we still haven't broken the all-time high before the halving. And it could end up being that like maybe we're seeing, oh, cool, we broke it, but really, you're not accounting for the fact that we have crazy amounts of inflows from the ETF. And you're not accounting for the fact that inflation adjusted, we haven't. And so we maybe we think we're later in the cycle, or we're getting more excited. We're like, where's retail? Why we're not having altcoin rallies, et cetera. But really, it's kind of a mirage because we're still where we should be. It's still very, very much quiet season. We're just seeing more action than we normally do because of a couple key shifts.
Well, it's like Solana, right, where it was able to break market cap ATH, but because of inflation of the token, and the extra supply, it didn't hit price ATH, right? So, yeah, I could see that. That's something interesting to think about for sure. And it may explain kind of like why we haven't seen these massive altcoin rallies. Because it's like, that's really, I mean, yeah, we can have some of these, smaller meme coins that are like hitting even $1 billion, $2 billion. I mean, WIF is going crazy. It hit $4 the other day, which is bonkers, bananas. But it's like a few. It's a few of them. Yeah, right. It's a few of them. Whereas like last bull run, it was crazy. Like all of these meme coins were just popping off, right? And it was just
not at this stage though.
Yeah, it's just like things were happening everywhere. So it's like I think we're just seeing like some of the rumblings, and maybe it was because it was such a brutal bear market for so long that some of like these positive things that are happening, like maybe like people are just getting a little overexcited.
This is a bit later in the cycle than last time, but I remember in 2019, right? Because I got into crypto seriously in like 2018 sometime, and so I was buying, and then April 2019, I remember that's when I first felt my first crypto euphoria, when like one day like my Bitcoin was up 25%, which used to be a lot. That used to be a win, right? Back in the day, well, the 0.25x, right? We were happy with those. But from like April to like June, I think it went from like 3,000 to 11,000 or something, right? It was just this complete bear market rally where like I rented a Mercedes and I went to the Hamptons. I was like, I'm going to be rich, right? Like, I'm not kidding. And then it went back down, right? And I was like, well, I'm not rich. I was like, maybe, that ring I got for my proposal shouldn't have been so big. Maybe that Mercedes, toned it down a little bit for the real bull market. But I wonder how much of that is this. This is much closer to the halving than that was. Like I said, that was completely bear market, like 3x out of nowhere. But I just don't see how it could be the same. Like, again, going back to that, like with how little supply is there and with the demand we have, I don't see how we can drop any substantial amount from here. 10, 15, 20% is difficult.
Last week, we did top 3 narratives for this cycle. I ended up cutting it. I don't remember why I cut it, but for whatever reason, I cut it. So we're going to do it again. Harley, what are your top 3 narratives for this cycle?
I say memes. Is it probably AI? I can't remember my third one. Memes, AI. I want to say gaming, but I feel like that wasn't one of my 3. I don't feel like I'm for the.
What do you want to say now? Say what you want to say now.
Memes, AI. Bitcoin DeFi.
Ooh, okay. Memes, AI, and Bitcoin ordinals, layer 2s, and all that kind of stuff. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, there's like staking on Bitcoin, all that stuff coming out. Bitcoin DeFi summer, baby.
I like those. I have heard some very good things about some of the technological advances on Bitcoin. I've got a lot of friends that are really into that kind of stuff. Man, it's really hard because there's so many things. It's hard to like just knock it down to 3, but
so hard.
I think RWAs are going to be pretty massive. I talk to a lot of people that just talk about like the benefits of being able to have, because the collectibles market is massive. It's so big, right? And being able to put those assets on chain, because with the major collectors,
like Beanie Babies, like
Beanie Babies,
my Beanie Baby collection is on chain.
Exactly.
And
sneakers,
then you go for it. Okay.
Sneakers, trading cards, coins, stamps. Because the big thing with major collectors is storage. That is like the big thing. Like they just don't have, you got to rent a storage unit and you got to have it shipped and all this stuff. But if you can just do all of that on chain within like these, websites and everything, it makes it much easier to be able to do. So I think RWAs will be pretty massive. I'm going to say the ag layer which is a system designed to unify chains, either EVM or chains that are launched, layer 2s that are launched through the Polygon Chain Developer Kit. I think that the unification of liquidity, if that is figured out sometime this year, then I think that will be pretty major in being able to provide a single environment to where it just feels like the internet, right? Where it's not like all these different websites that don't connect to each other. You can just like, oh, I want to do something on this chain. Okay, I'm going to do it. Or and you'll be able to use the currency from this chain on this chain, right? Because we're not like that. We're in this fragmented state, where everybody is trying to attract liquidity and do all these different things. So I think figuring out the fragmented liquidity problem on ETH, that will be pretty major. And then I think for the last one, I'm gonna have to go with gaming. I think that games are getting built well enough within Web3 to be fun enough to where it can attract just the common, average game player.
Okay, mine would be AI for sure. Like, boom. Like, I think this cycle, when retail shows up, AI is going to be like their jam, dude. I think there's going to be grown men that are going to be like buying these AI tokens. They're going to be like, oh yeah, crypto AI. I'm going to be just super wealthy person. They're going to like get some tattoos on themselves of some, bit tensor or something like that. Like, AI is going to go nuts. Crypto and AI, people are going to go absolutely bonkers for this. It's mostly going to be garbage. Mostly going to be absolutely the worst tokens in all of existence. It's going to, I think next cycle we'll have some really good AI stuff. But this cycle, I think most of it's going to be garbage, except for like, some good stuff. There's some good stuff like Akash. Akash is really good. I love Akash. It's like the NVIDIA of, crypto. That's what I like to call it because I have a massive bag of it. And I want it to go way up. Okay, so it's AI. The second one, gaming. I think we all mentioned this one, but this is just a no-brainer to me. I'm like, gaming makes so much sense. I actually did a podcast with Robbie from Immutable, and he said that he believes by the end of this year, we're going to have a single game that's going to have more transactions for that game, bring more users on chain than almost any blockchain in existence combined today. So like take all the blockchains, combine them. We're going to have a single game that's going to bring more people on chain than all of those combined, just about. And so on. He knows more about the gaming sector than anyone else. He's got his literal ear to the ground. He's just like, he wakes up and like, just like smells, crypto gaming. I mean, Immutable is like the Bitcoin of crypto gaming token. So like, bam, crypto gaming is going to be huge. I actually think I've had so many conversations with people in crypto and outside of it. And although so many like people, there's some that have really high conviction. I think they're really loud about it. Most people don't share this. It's weird. Most investors today do not share this conviction. They are vastly underestimating gaming. They said, every time I talk to somebody, they're like, crypto games aren't fun. Last cycle was just more of a gimmick. I really don't think it's going to be that big. Like, if you actually talk to them, they don't understand. They will understand.
Do you guys game?
A little bit.
Not a lot. I have 5 kids, man. But I used to play some Destiny, some Minecraft.
Yeah, because I'm one of the people that doesn't really get it. Like, I see it, right? Like, I'm invested.
I'll give it to you right now.
Right?
You want it? Didn't you name it as one of your top narrative and you don't even get it?
No, I said, I was like, I want to say this, but I was like, it wasn't one of mine.
Didn't. You're right.
Right? I was
You're
like,
right.
I think it will have it, right? But that's because I hear people that I trust saying that and who actually play games. I don't play video games. I haven't in so long.
My kids play Fortnite. They love this game. So good. It's awesome, okay? They have so much fun on this game. What people spend money on, Fortnite's a free game. You don't need to pay money to play Fortnite. It is a literal free game. You can go download it right now, Harley. You boot this thing up, and you got it. You're playing Fortnite. Free to play. This like took the gaming space by storm because normally you pay $60 for a game. Now it's free to play. How are you going to make money off this thing? Fortnite makes billions and billions of dollars a year selling digital items in their game store. So they've had a single item that made like $50 million. It was like an NFL skin or whatever. But yeah, they make so much money off these digital assets. The thing is, I know people that have spent thousands, I'm not even kidding, thousands of dollars on Fortnite skins. The thing is, you don't actually own these things. Your account shows you own it, but you're more like leasing it from them in that, like, if Fortnite servers went offline, those things are gone. If Fortnite stopped developing the game, those things are useless. you can't go sell those things. If you actually own something, you can sell it, right? Like if you lease a car, you can't sell that car. You got to give it back, right? If you own a car, you can go sell that car. And so, with digital items in gaming, you don't ever own these items. It's like, but there's this pent up demand. People want these things. Like the early Fortnite skins, people will pay bank to buy accounts illegally on these like illicit black markets to get access to those things. They'll like go on these weird little forums and like, hey, I want to buy this thing. And this guy's like, okay, well, $5,000, man. And he's like, okay, but it's all illicit. So it's like, they can't really, you don't have no true market discovery value. It's just like, you're getting like the weak 1% of what these things could be worth. And then, Fortnite could ban you if they catch you doing this stuff. And they do, they ban you. Like people will spend this money and they get banned. So it's a really inefficient market. But imagine if you could buy these things and actually own them. And imagine if you could sell them. Like these things would be worth so much money. They're just digital collectibles. We have baseball cards and Magic the Gathering cards are worth millions of dollars, right? Imagine gaming assets already people spending $1,000, but how much more are they going to spend if they can actually collect these things and sell these the same way they buy trading cards, the same way they buy stuff. That is the vision behind crypto gaming. Digital collectibles. That's it. Really, really simple. The ability for gamers to own in-game assets. And that's what crypto enables: digital scarcity and digital ownership. And so I think there's going to be a huge market for this. I think people are going to go from being willing to spend like $10 for a skin to like, I think in the same way you see with NFTs, people will spend $1,000 on like really hyper, super rare premium skins. And these games are going to make a lot more money, but also players are going to make a lot more money because they're going to be collecting these things. They're going to be able to earn in-game items that are like super rare seasonal events that they can go then sell. It's just going to be such a killer app for the gaming sector. And I really do think it's going to take off, but none of these people are going to have to know how to use crypto. It's going to all be obscured, abstracted away. And they're just going to be playing a normal game. Crypto's on the back end. And if they really want to get into it, kind of like, with my Fortnite account, I can just play on the Xbox. But if I want to really get into it, I got to go to my computer and create my Epic account and I could do, more stuff with it. It can be kind of like that.
So I want to kind of expand on this because NFTs are really my expertise, and gaming is really kind of adjacent to NFTs because what you're dealing with is you're dealing with internet communities, right? And the growth of internet communities. And I think we're only going to move further and further online. And that's evidenced, by the generations that are younger than us, right? They're so far ahead of us. It's insane. Like you see some of these creators on TikTok and, some, like Kick and some of these streaming, like they're like way, way, way far, like, further ahead than we are, right? And being able to interact with, and engage in these online communities and these internet communities that are being built. And I think as it moves further along, right, being able to have digital ownership of assets within these internet communities where people can engage with each other is only going to become more important, right? So, I think what's interesting is, we're already witnessing, the birth of like internet communities with NFTs where you have a two-dimensional representation of yourself with an NFT, right? And you're able to communicate verbally on Twitter Spaces and through text within like all the platforms, Telegram, Discord, right? So we're already dealing with like a crude metaverse where there is some digital ownership of items, to where you have this representation of yourself that you can actually build that up. You can build a brand around that NFT and then you can go and sell it. And it may even be more valuable based on like the recognition that is provided, from you building up that account. Right. So if you add in some of these, gaming aspects to, all these different things, I think it's going to be pretty major. I think we're in the very early development stages, but it's to the point now. I mean, so I don't know if you guys have ever seen, you should look it up. It's called Wilder World, but they actually did.
Yeah, I've seen it.
They actually did. Yeah. Like an exact replica of Miami, and you drive your car around. There's all these like, building assets. So I actually got to play that at Art Basel in Miami. And so I think we're starting to get to the point where it's like, oh, okay, like this is pretty it's going to be coming here pretty soon to where people are going to be coming online and really being in these immersive worlds.
I agree. So do you get it, Harley, from that explanation?
Yeah. And like I've invested in some. Like I'm in Purion just because it's like kind of like an ETF or whatever you want to call it. Not ETF, but a mix of all these different gaming assets, right? Because people smarter than myself in the sector can invest in it and it benefits me. But overall, I'm not really into it. My big gap with it is like I don't play video games and I don't really know anyone who plays video games, right? Like I know people in the crypto world who do because I see on Discord like so-and-so is playing so-and-so game. I'm like, oh, they play games. Like that's been the big disconnect for me is like, it's not so much the theory of what can happen with it. It's more like who's using it, right? But I think that's been my disconnect on gaming is understanding that there is just a vast ocean of like user base out there that I've just been blind to personally.
There's so many people that play video games. The video game industry is bigger than all of Hollywood, all of sporting, and all of music combined. So you take all the money that all those three industries make, the video game industry is not only bigger, but it's bigger by almost double. And it's growing. Like every year it gets bigger and bigger. And I think with the release of something like this, crypto gaming is going to even pump it up even more because digital asset ownership is going to unlock so much value in that space that you've just never seen before. And for the crypto games, there isn't a lot of good ones right now. There's some out, but a lot of them are in beta or alpha or whatever. But it's that they've been in development for years. They've had these huge budgets. They're coming online in 2024 and 2025. And so you're going to see a breakout hit. One of these games is going to just skyrocket. Tons of people are going to be playing it. And then that is going to be the starting like gunshot for people to be like, oh my gosh, it's on. And they're just going to start pumping every single gaming token around. They're going to be like, I'm buying this one. That's a gaming one. You're going to see all these, tokens try to weave gaming into their thing. Kind of like, everyone's trying to weave AI. They're going to be weaving gaming in like, oh, we're a gaming blockchain. Oh, we're a gaming centric this, that. Anyway, so I think it's going to be huge. So AI is back to the very original thing. AI,
real
gaming,
quick, Jesse.
third one's going to be restaking.
So I think like a really simple way to think about it is with gaming, it's a digital community where people are able to connect, and then they have this shared goal, like this thing that everyone is involved in, right? Everybody has this shared mission of playing the game, and then there's the ability to have digital ownership over items, and being able to have an online economy is super powerful, as we've already seen with people doing it illegally with Fortnite, right? So it's just pretty simple, bringing people together. They all have this shared goal, and then they want to be able to trade things back and forth with each other. It's just human nature.
Yeah.
I do get the side on like the NFT thing as well, which your point earlier is because I was recently looking at a collection and I wanted to buy one. I was like, this could go somewhere. I was like, they have an interesting little community, not very active, but it seems like it's getting going. I was like, but I want an NFT that I could put on Twitter, right? That could be my face in this community. And none anywhere near the floor like represented something that I would want to represent me, that I felt that I could like stand behind. So I didn't buy in. Like, so I get your point there. Like, it is important and it does represent you, and you can't build brands behind it. So I see it.
All right. Moving on. So we got, those are three narratives for the cycle. Those are all good ones. Every single one of them I'd say was good. Interoperability, Bitcoin layer 2s, restaking, AI gaming, all of it good. Amazing. Moving on. Speaking of NFTs, a lot of people are saying NFTs are dead. So I have this, I was trying to talk to you guys about this before we started this pod. I've been waiting literally the whole podcast. I've been like sitting over here biding my time so I can unleash this on you. I've been buying some NFTs, and I've been buying NFTs because nobody else is buying NFTs, and everyone's saying NFTs are dead. And I really just think it's the optimal time to be like, okay, now's the time to go in, because I don't think NFTs are dead. They are just, it's psychology. It has nothing to do with the technology. It has everything to do with psychology. People make a ton of money. They want to flex with that money. They're going to buy some NFTs to flex with that money. They're just going to keep doing it over and over again. NFTs, I think, are here to stay. And so I've been buying some. And I was telling you guys, I've been buying some personas. Nick turned me on to these things. They look super cool. They got like an 80s sort of vibe. I bought my Mad Lad. It started at 2,000. It's now worth over 30,000 last time I checked. It's getting all these airdrops too now. So it's like a little money printing machine for me. Personas, the reason I bought it, as I was trying to tell you guys earlier before we started this, is because it's like a game. They're like building a gaming stuff. So it's like ties in exactly what we're saying. So they're building a bunch of games and cool stuff. There's no way they don't airdrop their token persona holders. and that's going to skyrocket the price of Persona NFTs, in my opinion. So I'm like, cool. I'm just like buying the floor. My first real NFT I mean, Mad Lads was, I mean, the ones that before that where I lost money on was, I guess, actually bought Cock Punch, lost money on that. Bought other stupid ones, lost money. But like, I never bought in size. And even Mad Lads, I just bought one, which I'm deeply regretting that, obviously now. But Persona, I'm buying like quite a few of them. And just kind of see how it plays out, you know? If I get some airdrops, if they skyrocket, I like the art. I actually think it looks really, really cool. And so, yeah, that's why I'm buying it. But what do you guys think? Are NFTs dead?
I mean, I've done a lot of thinking about this. I think in their current state, I think NFTs will have to change. So I've witnessed kind of like the ebbs and flows of what happens with NFT communities, and what is the reason for people wanting to enter communities. And there's some different things, right? Like some people want to enter NFT communities for the network, right? They want the network that's provided within that NFT community of people that are well connected within the industry. But I think once you've been around long enough, you don't really need that, right? And then I think I will say pretty much all utility for NFTs is Fugazi. I think pretty much everything, if you have 10,000 holders, like how are you going to be able to provide value, especially monetary value, to 10,000 holders, right? That's actually, it's pretty difficult. You know what I mean? So I think, if you gave all of them $1,000, that's $10 million. Like, where are you going to get $10 million? Right. So it's like
airdrops, man. Airdrops
for sure.
Mad Lad holders got airdropped $30,000 from the worm, except for me, because I didn't click a button, but everyone else got $30,000 from the wormhole airdrop. And, Pudgy Penguins are getting a bunch of airdrops. Man, it's just a really easy way to allocate the airdrops, and we're going to see a ton this year. So
there are certain ways to do it for sure within some of these like very popular collections, right, where they're able to get some of these allocations and these different things. But I think I do agree. I think that the status symbol argument is very good with NFTs in that when there are less risky opportunities to where people are making 10x's, 100x's, because NFTs right now, they're a long-term play. They're a long-term conviction. And right now we're not in a long-term conviction type of market. Like we're in the meme coin cycle where people are going in and making 10, 100x like very quickly. So I think like, and last time NFTs really popped off, the bull market, it was winding down. Like crypto was coming down, so people were going into NFTs. There was like an NFT bull run. So I think we're probably going to see something similar. So I think it is a good idea to be buying NFTs during this depressed period, like you said, because nobody's looking at them. Because all it takes is a little catalyst and for NFTs to change. I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's some very interesting things going on with hybrid NFTs that are connected to tokens. So
is it kind of like with Mad Lads? They have like their weird token standards where like, my Mad Lad can like accumulate tokens into itself.
So this is different. So
it's the 404?
Yeah. So there's an ERC standard. I think it's 404. And then there is also a Solana standard. So with this, there's a token. So you have the token, right? And then you have the NFT. So you can trade in the token or the NFT for a certain amount of tokens. And then you can also trade in the certain amount of tokens for an NFT. So it's very interesting in what it does to the game theory. And they haven't quite figured out, because the thing is with that, like rarity doesn't really matter because you're doing it based off the amount of tokens that you can get. Right. So I think that there are some innovations happening with NFTs to where they will come back, right? And they will do really well. But I think it's just going to be done. It's just going to be in a different form than what we've seen before.
Okay, well, as the in-house NFT expert, what do you think of my logic behind this one? It's a gaming company. It's a sick NFT. Like comparatively to most NFTs, I would say it's like top 1% of like aesthetically pleasing looks. It's better than Like I love Mad Lads and the way they look. And like when I look at my Mad Lad comparatively, I'm like, this is actually looks better somehow.
I like Mad Lab better than this. This looks, one of the guys actually looks like the main character from Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah,
pretty sure it's the same guy.
I mean, I love the Persona art. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, that's why I'm into Utes. Like, I like the Utes because it's just, I just like it. It's just aesthetically pleasing. And projects that really try to nail down the art, because that's the big thing that you see with a lot of projects where they don't put everything that they can into the art. And the art is the very first thing with NFTs. That is the foundation. Being able to have this as a digital representation of yourself is the most important thing, right? And it's got to be really quality art. So I think also, like, it depends on what it is that they are able to do. I think so Persona, they're like the company that's connected to them, the like gaming company, I think they've raised like $4 million, right? So I think it like really depends on what type of capital they're able to get to be able to start producing some gains, right? So I think that will really depend on like, hey, will there be able to be a token within an ecosystem that they develop that they will then be able to provide back to the NFT holders, right? So I think that really depends.
Or just think of narrative. Think of narrative. Okay, follow my logic and think of this. NFTs, if they do come back, you got to bet a little bit on that. But think of NFTs popping back off. You see, NFT collections skyrocketing. We have a rotation in NFTs later in the cycle. It's going to be like Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever. We have alts skyrocket, and then after alts, we're going to see some NFTs skyrocket. They're popping off. At the same time, we see a gaming bull run. All that's popping off. And then people are like, okay, we're buying NFTs, we're buying gaming stuff. And like, oh, this NFT is for a gaming company that's going to build a game and whatever, launch a token. Don't you think people are going to put two and two together and be like, okay, this combines two of the hottest narratives. We're going to be buying this. They don't have to have the game ready. They don't have to have the token ready. People are just going to speculate and then price in those things, probably to an absurd degree, and being like, this is going to be $1 trillion company. It's going to be crazy. And, they'll throw a ton of money into it. And then those things will just pop off, and they'll be like, 100K, 200K, 500K NFT. It's gonna. I mean, I'm dreaming a little here, but
you do seem like you need.
I think it really depends, man. I think it really depends. I mean, I think like that we have seen that type of narrative play out in the past, to where there was staking for NFTs, to where you got a certain token, and I honestly, I think that sort of a narrative is kind of a thing of the past with NFTs. I think people really understand that there is only so much financial value that you can bring back as an individual company to your NFT holders, right? Through staking and whatever else. So I think honestly, I think all of that is Fugazi, and the people that are the big players within NFTs. They know that that's not, it's just Fugazi. And unless you can get retail.
I'll take the other side. I think because the airdrops, because of all that, people, they're going to speculate, on the price of it, and it's going to add to it, right? People are going to associate it in the same way that, like, I look at my Mad Lad and I'm like, oh, they're building an exchange backpack, and they got this wallet, the backpack wallet. And I think, like, I don't know, like, that they're going to specifically give value back to the NFT holders. I just think they'll become so big and recognizable and such a large thing that the NFTs will go up in value in association with that. Without a direct, I think what you're trying to say is, like, if you directly try to correlate the value to, like, this value of this other thing, that's where you get messed up. It's got to be vague, right? I'm talking about a vague value where the market's like making assumptions of, like, oh, it's kind of like Maker. Maker is a token. You have direct revenues. You're like, this thing makes this amount of money. It's a lot of money. And the market's like, cool, we don't care about it now. And then you got this other token. It's like, we don't make any money. We don't even have a business. Bro, we just got a website. But here's this really crazy, bold concept that we're going to hopefully maybe could achieve maybe. And people are like, okay, that's worth a ton of money. And,
yeah.
And so the more vague it is, the more people like price in. And then the more concrete it becomes, the more they're able to actually nail down a realistic value. And then the less like absurd the value gets. And that's what I think you're trying to communicate with NFTs. But what I'm saying is this is vague enough that, like, I think people are going to price it in. And then as the game launches, as this token launches, then that's when the value will get smaller, and you'll see those things kind of meet at a head.
I think, yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen this cycle.
I can see that, because I mean, if you look at Pudgy Penguins, right, being able to get a toy deal in Walmart, right, that doesn't bring direct value back to the holders, but it's like the perceived expansion of the brand is like, oh, we see where this is going. And we see like this is a piece that will bring a lot of exposure to the overall brand of Pudgy Penguins, which in turn is it's just overall value, right? It's an attention economy. So yeah, I can see that. It just depends on what are the pieces that they're able to put in place, and will that have enough of a push into the speculation of the price with what else they can do.
I think it's like a big gap here. Like, Nick, you are an expert, an insider, like all this stuff like in and out, whereas most people are like, it's a monkey on your phone. Mm-hmm. All right. So it's somewhere in the middle is me and Jesse. We're just like, well, here's what we think people are going to do. So I think you're thinking and speaking from like a value investing kind of way, whereas we're thinking of the monkey brain, like, how do I follow this? What's going to go up in price?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to make money off of it. My vision is not a 10-year vision. It's like by the end of this cycle, where do I think the value of this NFT is going to be? And I think I'm willing to place enough of a bet to say I think it's going to be a lot higher than it is today. And we'll see how that plays out. Yes. All right, we're going to move on to the next one, which is it's a question from Manav. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he got a little turtle at the end of his name. Looks like a cool guy.
Just try it.
No. Okay. He says, when do you guys think altcoin season will start? And we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but like, what do you guys think? When you quick answer, because we got to get through a couple of things. But when do you guys think altcoin season is going to start?
I'm going to say when Bitcoin hits 90,000.
90,000. Okay.
September 3rd.
What time?
Usually you run around here. I'll say 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Okay.
Nice.
I'm going to say maybe we see a bump.
If I nail that, I want some sort of prize.
You will get a prize. If I would say we might see some sort of like action in the summer, and then I think the major action, kind of winter or late fall of this year is when we're going to really see that kick off. I'm kind of in that with you as well. All right, next question is from Miyagi, and he says, question for the pod. If ETH ETF decision is delayed or even somehow it doesn't get approved, what would the impact be? My guess is the cycle is not depending on the ETH approval, so therefore it's just a multiplier, it doesn't apply. But maybe you have a different view. So basically he's asking, like, if it's denied, do we see a dip? Or is it more that if it's approved, we see just a pump, but like there's going to be no impact if we see a denial?
I think you see a short-term impact. Like, if it's denied, I think you'll see a short-term, like, oh, this is bearish, but there'll be something in the news about them like continuing the fight for it and the fundamentals of it. And we'll be so far into a bull market that FUD won't be able to stop it.
Well, okay, so to add some context, the first denial will happen in May. So if it's going to be denied, it's going to happen in May, and then the second time it can get approved is going to be like later this year, like closer to December, I think.
I mean, I can maybe talk about what would be the positive impact of that, because really, I think the overflow coming from ETH and the demand for Ethereum is like super positive for the other alts, right? So, yep. I mean, it's just the same as Bitcoin, where it's like overflow of value from Bitcoin, overflow of value from ETH, flows into some of these other alts. So if there's more demand for ETH, there's more overflow. So it's just a positive impact on the market overall. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of with Harley to where if it does get denied, it would probably be a short-term dip, but realistically, we probably would be kind of moving in the right direction enough to where there's enough demand for Bitcoin, and things are really popping off in some other areas to where it wouldn't take too hard of a dip.
Yeah, BlackRock's already building on the chain, folks.
Yeah, they're already building on the chain. I think we're all saying kind of the same thing. I'm going to say it a little bit differently than you guys said it, but I think we're saying about the same thing, which is I think if we see a denial, it's basically a nothing burger. Like, we're not going to really see much action. If it's a dip, it's going to be like minimal, and you're like maybe like a day. Like for a day, we're going to see a little dip, and then it's like boom, it'll be reversed within a week, and it's just not really. It's like a nothing burger. And then, but if we see an approval, I think we see it skyrocket. We just like God candle up, huge, and then it just like kicks off this altcoin season. We're going to see a ton of crazy action. So to answer Miyagi's question, denial I think means nothing. Approval, pretty big deal. I would say maybe by the end of the year, in December, if we see a denial, after a huge run up in price and people actually believe it's going to happen, then maybe we see some negative price action. But I don't think most people even think it's going to happen in May. Like I'd say 99.9% of people don't think it's going to really happen in May. And the people that do are just like so hardcore ETH bulls that it's just not going to phase them when it gets to 9. So yeah, cool. All right, we're going to wrap this up. As always, none of this is investment advice. You should always do your own research. Crypto is risky. You got to act like an adult, make your own decisions, and remember, stay hard.